3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 62. And we're joined with the lovely Dom the Bomb Herbertson.
And how we're doing, Chrissy Rouse, everyone's favourite maths teacher. What do we know, young'un? What do we know?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, where I enjoyed coming down to watch a bit of racing for the first time this year down at Cadwell Park at the weekend. Good to see you out doing the business.
Oh, dishing out some portions, obviously taking a few pages out of Michael Rutter's book there.
Down at the CRMC meeting, first round of the year, and you were out. I was going to say you were out nearly every other race, weren't you? Your 350s, your 500. The big, was it a Yamaha?
Yamaha, but that was a 500, but I had to enter the 850 class. But I tell you what, before we jump into the details of that, am I wrong, but is that the first club meeting that's happened in the UK?
Was there not a few races just before lockdown?
No. I meant, sorry, after, the dreaded C word that we love on this show so much.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that is the first meeting that's ran. Actually, the chap who owns MS3 Racing, the track, he flew in his helicopter to come see how it's done. Now, can I just say, what a well-ran meeting that was. What did you make of it, Chrissy, before I get my opinion? Because you came down, spectated and helped me out, obviously.
Up until then, the even track days, you had to, when you got to the gate, you had to say like your name plus like your +1, and that was the only people that were allowed in. So they were very strict. Even track days, no spectators whatsoever. So this was the first time that they allowed spectators in, and I was curious to see how they would sort of manage it with social distancing and what have you. And the paddock was pretty closed off, and basically,
well, you couldn't have any spectators in at all, which was brilliant.
For those that know the Cadwell Park paddock, you've got it's all been retarmacked. And then to the right of the paddock, you've got a kind of parking area, and usually you just, the people park up and go and have a walk around the paddock. It was like a trench in between, like a coned off trench, and you weren't allowed to cross over from the car park to the paddock. And so the crowd and the competitors were kept totally separate.
No man's land in World War One here, that's it.
It was a bit of a no man's land.
We'll have a footy match.
And to be honest, I think it seemed very well ran. What was the crowd like when you were going around the track? Was there a fair few?
I tell you what, there was as far as the CRMC is concerned, it actually is the biggest form of classic racing in Europe. Mm-hmm. It's like the BSB is such. It's the highest form of it, and I think it was really good for the CRMC, the fact that this was the first UK post-COVID shite. Mm-hmm. So, and it was good because I think it got a lot of attraction. I think there was a lot of people around the circuit, because normally they come in the paddock and they're floating around, and there's people jumping in and out. Mm-hmm. But what was actually one of my favourite things was the fact that you could go to the toilet without queuing. The CAF was there. It was a lot more relaxed, especially as a rider's and the team's point of view. But I think they just did a fantastic job, and really, no one was taking the piss. Mm. People weren't jumping up and down, running around the place, and everyone was sort of had the gaps, and I thought it was a brilliant example of a well-run meeting. Mm-hmm. But like you say, that I thought the crowds were big for it. Well, it is a club meeting at the end of the day. It's not World Superbikes at Cadwell. That
was actually the first classic meeting that I've ever been to, so I really enjoyed the spectacle. And I know you've said before about the racing being real competitive, and you were absolutely spot on with that. Especially in the 350s, and the lads at the front of the pack are real pushing on, and you could, even from the other bike's 1960 something.
But the replicas, so the brand new built, yeah. But like you say, the actual chassis and the geometry is it's old school, isn't it? So,
and to see how hard you were pushing the bikes, and to see the variations in the bikes in the different classes and stuff. You had some old two-strokes, and some bits that looked like they'd just been sort of thrown together in a shed and whatever. It was really good, and there was a good atmosphere in the paddock. Really enjoyed it, and it was fantastic to see you take a couple of race wins as well, and a new lap record on the 350, which is obviously doing Chasing the Racing proud.
Oh, that's it. No,
we expect nothing less.
Oh, I know. The pressure's on for this championship of the British for you now, son. You know what I mean? I've turned up. I've dished out some put. No, but it was. I think I feel like I've invested a lot of time into myself over the winter, you know, trying to do like as much like pit biking and everything. I'm thinking, right, come on. Like I say, and as you know, I was very lucky.
Manicures, pedicures, all that.
Getting my hair done, hair gel and everything like that. The weight I've lost in body hair removal, you know, I've boosted Veets profit margins tremendously, Chrissy. But anyway, sorry, now I've got Veet running through my head here. Sorry, I got a very professional kind of. But where were we?
You were saying that you've made a lot of investment in yourself, and you feel like that's.
Yeah, and like Ian Robinson, you know, obviously like over the phone, you know, he's been helping us out, and we've been trying to figure out some little things to try and improve. And I got the Saturday, and I just went, you know, all right, I feel like I'm tramping on. Then you opened up the timesheets, and I think everyone, it was like Peter Boast. I tell you what, before I carry on going to that, we've got a bit of a trip planned, haven't we, for this weekend? So we've got a few riders coming in. So we've actually got Peter Boast lined up. So we'll get his side of this story. So anyway, Peter Boast out-qualified us on the 350. The 500 Honda, we had a bit of clutch issue. That was John Coates' bike, who we loaned to go racing on. The Yamaha, which is a 500 twin. Now the idea is it's a twin cam overhead, which is the same design as a pattern. Now patterns are like John McGuinness keeps winning the 500 Classic on it. So the idea is the team are building essentially a poor man's pattern, but trying to make it as competitive. Now, that's the first time I'd spun some serious laps, and I immediately felt at home on it. Mm-hmm. You weren't there for the Saturday, were you?
No.
So it was just bedding in. I was absolutely chopping into the times, and I thought, this is the first time it's properly spun laps. Absolutely over the moon. But the problem with that bike is we had a standard road gearbox, and it, well, to be blunt, it shit itself. There's no other word for it. I went at the bottom of the mountain, and it was just kept jumping in and out of gear, and you think, oh god. But it wasn't, as you know, like when you jump out with gear, you've manually got to select it in. When it goes into these false neutrals, you don't hit it. But this was jumping in and out like a like a bent selector fork in the gearbox. It was bouncing all over the place. But no, it eventually gave up the ghost going into the mountain into the first race, and I mean, woof, let go. But
One thing I did notice watching the bikes, obviously you're allowed some some, you know, like in this, like upgrades that, you know, have been developed since 1960 odd.
Yeah.
You can stick some things on. One thing that I'm pretty sure you mustn't be allowed to put on is a what's it called, a slipper clutch. Because I was watching going into the hairpin, and my goodness me, everyone was coming over that another left sort of rise, back shifting, and then you could just see they were bracing themselves for like that snatch in the rear, like bouncing up and down before the engine catches up with the wheels.
Oh, totally. But that's the thing. It's like proper riding, and it's almost back to basics. It's all full whiskey. You know what I mean? It's cables to carbs and
tell you what,
drum brakes and everything.
Obviously, I've not seen you race that many times in the flesh, but for me, like that's as good as I've seen you ride. Especially on the 350, you look so at home. I was watching the through hall bends. You know, your lines were spot on, and obviously
Now hold on. That was after a little bit of debriefing with yourself. Now, like I'm very lucky that Davies, especially Colin Davies, you know, he's a full race engineer by trade. You know, and the couple of bits he says, look, you know, and Colin, and you've met Colin, he's dry as sticks. So when he says something, it's not malicious or he's trying to sugarcoat it. It's, look, son, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So when you come up over the mountain, the white line, it's like, what, wait, are you scared of the white line or something, Dominic? I'm like, what do you mean? You can't wait. Just get on the white line and then cross over. And then I started to calm down a bit more and started thinking about what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then I remember, what did I ring you? Saturday night going, Chrissy, I'm doing shite, qualifying times are shite, this has all gone wrong, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I keep like Charlie's one, he can't. And I tell you what, even over the phone, Chrissy, you changed my ride massively. So I've got to thank you so much for that.
Well,
just little things like tip in a little earlier, look for that, look for this. And I'm going round in the morning, and we were doing, like me, Peter, and everyone in the grid, we were doing like 48s. Then obviously went home, like on the Saturday, had a good firm talk to myself, 3 pints of Peroni and a fish finger sandwich. That's not a euphemism for anything, by the way. Had a good firm talk to myself and chat with you, and knocked 4 seconds off in the morning. So
and the original lap record was a 144.
Middle 144 middle. Yeah, Harley Rushton. So and unfortunately, he races for the same team as Jamie Coward races for in the classics. Like Ted Wolf, like 350s, 500s, and Cooper, he races for them as well. But Ted is vulnerable with this virus going around, so the team couldn't make it, which is unfortunate because like Harley's a hell of a pilot, and he listens to this. So, I'm out with the moon. You weren't there, so
his original lap record, so 1:44.5-ish, it got demolished to like a 43.
Demolished. Oh, nicely put there.
You banged a few 43s in, so you know it's not like you just pipped it by like a tenth or two. It was a good.
Yeah, and the conditions, the conditions were good, and it was like even in the 500 race, I was putting in the same times as 500. Now, you've mentioned him before, and I didn't actually get an opportunity to meet him properly, but he was mentioned a few times on the pod. Philip Atkinson,
yeah,
he was out racing as well, so he was absolutely hossing round there. Now, I kept saying, "Who's Philip? Does he listen to the show? Do you know?"
No idea.
Oh God, well, I'm not going to slag him off or anything, but it's yeah, he apparently rides everything. Did he used to race against you? No, I'd not like that, you dozy pillock man. Apart, like, no, he'd like classics, you know, does try options. He's done like stock 1000. You were telling me a bit about him, weren't you?
Yeah, I used to race against Phil in the Triumphs, but yeah, he does. He races the 250s at the. I think does North Gloucester still run a 250 GP championship?
I think they do.
He races the classics and the club racing and he always gets a ride with the Ducati options, and he's a busy man, busy. But I tell you who else I've seen when I was down there, a lad called Tom Haywood that I used to race against in the Triumph Triple Challenge.
The 125 lad.
He was smoking everyone in the 125s. He actually, the year that I started racing 675s, Tom actually won the opening race at Brands Hatch, and you can tell he hasn't lost it. Like he was motoring on there.
That's the thing with this, you know, like even in the 500 class, we have some world like BSB rides, like Mark Cronshaw, he did BSB, and we've got Lee Hodge and
nice set of leathers Mark's got with the Union Jack on. And
aye, that's it. Oh, you'll have to be going only certain circles around the area. You'll have to be careful on that one. But no, I'm over the moon. You came absolutely over the moon. But so, like, what was your opinion on it? So, well, you kind of said, didn't you? It is hellish close racing.
Yeah.
But like,
I couldn't believe how much money's involved in terms of the bikes. You know, yeah, just looking as a spectator, I would have no comprehension of what something's worth. I genuinely would have no idea if you showed me a bike. I wouldn't have any idea if it was like 4,000 or 30,000. I'd literally no like understanding of it whatsoever.
That's it. Well, obviously, my brother-in-law, my brain's on a seizure. I haven't been sleeping. Oh God, my brain's had a full-on seizure here. Well, so like a Sealy G50. Like my dad raced one of those. They're like around about 40-50 grand. That's what like Heffen was on, and his dad have got one. Then a short stroke engine, you're talking about price 15 grand, you know, for an engine.
Wow. And is it? Do you know, for these people that race them, is it a nostalgic thing like that? It sort of takes them back to when they were racing and sort of like.
Well, no, it's just another form of racing. It's like it's proper engineering, you know. Like that's the thing about classics. Everything's bespoke and everything's fine. It's like what the Davies have done, have turned a CB 500 into a proper race bike. You know, it is, they reduce weight and doing this and they're refining everything. It's like when we went free tech racing, you know, people get obsessed with that. Like you got British mini bikes, people get upset. Like it's just another discipline that people get involved in. But the thing about CRMC is we are all pushing the living crap out of these things. Because you saw a lad, Richard Molnar, he's a front runner in CB 500s at Thundersport. Hell of a lad.
Is that the lad on the Norton?
Aye, you were showing it, and it was absolutely hossing. Like, and then you've got Alan Oversby, right? He was my teammate, an absolute living legend of a man. He's one of these lads who doesn't do any bike riding, like pit bikes or anything. He just swings his leg over on the bike and goes like the clappers, man. Absolutely howls around the track. And Alan turned up. Now he'll hate me for saying this, but he's 60. He'll be 60. He'd be 60 summit anyway, and he's putting in fastest lap speeds on the 500. He's absolutely howling. So, and it just shows that the caliber. Now, Alan Oversby and me and Jamie Coward are always battling for wins around the pre-TT at the 700 circuit, and it just shows if you're on a bike, you're going to go ride it as hard as you can. And I think if you get an opportunity, you've got to go to a CRMC.
Yeah.
especially when, well, I think it was a well-run meeting. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable, son.
Very
thoroughly
good, yeah.
enjoyable. But I've probably missed out loads of things. It was great to meet all the team sponsors again. A few, obviously, we had to be distant and all that. Like Belgrave came down. John Chapman came down. He's a fantastic lad. And the Hafe family was there. They listened to the pod, so best get a shout out to the Hafe group there, because they sponsor the Birchill brothers.
Yes.
And they sponsor Jason O'Halloran in British Superbikes, and then sponsor the Davies team as well, which is
fabulous.
Jolly good of them, jolly good. But yeah, speaking of teams and crack, let's what's going on here, young man?
So
what's the crack here?
We've actually saved to the podcast to sort of announce it. So the official announcement you are listening to now.
You are dun dun dun.
Yeah, so obviously for those people that listen to the podcast, they'll know the situation that I've been in, whereby I was due to be racing for MSS Kawasaki in Superstock 1000 this year, and then after the coronavirus pandemic and everything, it basically wasn't financially viable to go.
Oh yeah, chucking some big words from
like
Dominic
it,
here. That's it.
To go racing this year. And so I was basically left without a ride for 2020, and obviously there's a guy called Ross Burridge who looks after the Kawasaki sort of racing.
Yes,
the Kawasaki racing coordinator, and I spoke to him to see if there was any other options, and if he could like sort of sort us anything else out. And there was, teams have got the riders sorted for the year. There was nothing really going, so
everyone's squeezed. Yeah, everyone's squeezed at this point.
And I think a lot of sponsors are struggling with,
course,
it is, and people are looking to cut budgets rather than add extra riders on and stuff, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically I was left without a ride, and I spoke to a few friends and a few various people, and I got in touch with Crowe Performance down in Lincoln, and they've since last year they've been doing a lot of work on the Generation 4 for the new BMW.
Yes,
which obviously we've talked about loads on the podcast. And they actually had a spare bike. It wasn't quite up to Superstock spec as it was, but having had a conversation with them and sort of talked through the possibilities, I've managed to do a deal with them to basically hire a Gen 4 BMW. The team are going to put it's a hell of a lot of money to get the bike up to spec. With the BMW, you can get something called a calibration kit, which is, I think, around the sort of £6,000 mark, and it turns.
Jeez.
The bike itself is a weapon to start with. The road electronics and stuff, but for those last few tenths. Where you really need to be specific in terms of setting up engine brake and traction and all that type of stuff, and split throttles, you need this calibration kit. So the team
I've just gone into soft focus there. Sorry, that was a lot to take on.
And in order to go racing, spare wheels, there's various things. So yeah, I'm extremely grateful to everyone at Crowe Performance that they've basically put themselves out to get a bike sorted for us. And
brilliant.
Along with my personal sponsors, obviously, I mentioned on the podcast a few weeks ago about the situation I was in.
The spreadsheet.
NGK have been extremely helpful. They've sent us
the awning.
They actually sent us 2 awnings now. They've sent us the one that I put on, and then they've sent us another one.
There's one for signing autographs, and the other one's for Piggy, is it?
Do you know what? I don't think we're going to have a crowd in the paddock, so I'll probably just use one anyway. But they've been so good, so supportive. They sent us some chairs, mats, anything to help. They've been on it. And so I've got a little awning. A guy called Mark at Mac Tools Newcastle. I got in touch and explained the situation, and he sorted us out with a lovely toolbox and some new tools.
Oh, I saw that the other day, but someone forgot the keys to open it.
No, I did actually. I brought them.
Oh, right, we're gonna have a look at that later on now, because he was dead. I'll tell you what, if you listen to this now and you think he's like, look, Tom, have a look at this. I'm like, you're a tit, aren't you?
Yeah,
left the keys.
But anyway, so I'm putting together a nice little setup, and I've spent yesterday and the day before just messaging around everybody that all the people that have helped us out in the past, all my personal sponsors, just explaining the situation. And obviously I'm very aware that different businesses have been hit really badly
through
coronavirus, so it's not a case of like expecting anything, but if if they have been in a position to help, then the chipping in, and it's all. I haven't got one big sponsor, but it's as a group, lots of people putting in, relatively small amounts, and then we can go racing. So I got my spreadsheet sorted, and I was extremely touched by, obviously you've got your 130 group set.
Is that how you're getting the money in? You're getting touched, are you? All right, there, Chrissy. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Sell what you've got, son. You're a good-looking lad.
So on your 130 group, a guy called Adam Parker put a message on.
Yes, thank you very much, Adam.
After the podcast, he put a post on just saying, explaining my situation and saying he would love to help out and asking us to send him his details, but he very kindly put it on the group page so that the other members has seen it, and I was absolutely blown away by the generosity of your fans.
Well, no, that's it. But you see, I've actually changed the group name from the 130 Club to Adopt a Geordie campaign. So it's like for £5 a week, you get a free T-shirt and a cuddly toy.
I will just say so.
But seriously though, before you jump onto that though, it's thank you so much to the 130 Club, because you need the help you need the help. Mm-hmm. You're a front runner, and you deserve the help, son. You know what I mean? I'm going to tear up here. I've had a Red Bull. I feel emotional, but you deserve the help, and I can't thank the 130 Club enough for doing that for you. Because they helped me and they're helping you. So
I will just give a quick shout out to everyone that's helped out so far, because I'm very, very grateful. So from the 130 Club, Carl Parker, Anthony Rolls, Andrew and Sue Mapleson, they're from Australia. So did you know you had Aussie fans?
Oh, I've posted them out. You should have seen the guy in the post office face going, "Where you want that, son?" Just get it in the box and send it.
Richard Cook, Wayne Sherwood, Kathy Jones Parry, Julie Elstub, Lauren Aitken.
Do not get any of these names wrong, mind.
Adam
They'll be hell on.
Craig Arnold, Mark Livingstone, Steve Rushton, Steve Jacks. I think it's Mrs. D Lawson.
Yes,
right? Do you know the first Mrs. D Lawson? Anyway, it came through as on the PayPal thing. C Patterson, Mark Reynolds, our good friend Mark, and
that knacker,
SJ O'Brien. So absolutely blown away by the generosity, and like I said, I did make my spreadsheet, so if anyone would like to see it, feel free to drop us an email and I'll send it over.
All you young ladies out there,
And obviously over the last few days I've been getting in touch with my personal sponsors, and a few of them who have already helped us are really stepping up, and I've been blown away by the support. Alan Towell down at he sponsored the podcast before, actually. Perston Car Centre, he's really helping us out. A guy called Curtis Site Services, so CSS. It's on the front of my helmet, really helping us out, and that's just to name two. All my personal sponsors hugely helping us out.
There we go for the YouTubers out there. Boom.
The old helmet.
That's it. Chrissy getting his helmet out on air again. There we go. Fantastic.
So yeah, I'm really, really grateful. I had a blast out on the BMW the other day. For the
I was about to say, what's the crack here then? What's testing? What's the plan?
So
what's going on?
I'm booked in to do the BSB test at Donington, and
that's on the
28th, and
right.
Hopefully get out another once more before the start of the season. But it's been very sort of last minute. Obviously, usually you would get these things sorted in like November, December, and spend the months getting it done. I've really, to be honest, I've really put Phil and the team under quite a lot of pressure to get sorted for this year, because there's so much work to do in such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
But I'm incredibly grateful for what they've done for us, and it'll be a very modest setup. The bike will be in Crowe Performance colours, their bike, and it'll be a case of running out of a little awning next to Phil, and they're also running Matt Truelove on the Crowe Performance BMW as well,
the teammate as well.
So although they'll be running out of a different awning, the bikes will look the same.
Right.
And with Phil's, Phil will be looking after us in terms of the electronics.
Well, that'll be easy for Phil though, because you'll be both on the front row. So you're jotting in between and out of.
Well, Phil's put a hell of a lot of work in over the last, like I said, over the last year and a half with the new stuff. It was very complicated, and there was lots of teething issues last year.
Yeah.
But they've been working. He's always in contact with Germany, and sending data back and forth. And if obviously I've spoke to him, and he feels like it's in a real good place with the bike now. When I had to go over it, I just had the standard electronics, which, to be honest, I was I was blown away by. It's got a real cool little, on the left-hand handlebar.
The spin dial.
It's
or
almost
something
like
that.
a joystick, and you can go through the dash. The road going dash is unreal. You can literally do anything on it, and you could, as you're riding, you've got different maps. You can put different traction, engine brake and wheelie, engine modes, and then you can flick through them when you're riding to like back-to-back things. It's a super bit of kit, and I'm just so grateful that they've stepped in and helping us out. But although that's mega bit of kit, I am getting the calibration kit, which is the full whiskey. The bike, will have everything on.
Aye.
The lads at Crowe Performance have really, went all out with it, and I've hopefully got the tools to do the job.
Fantastic. And I tell you what, like, you know how you're saying you put them under a bit of pressure, because we've got a lovely guest to announce coming up, haven't we? So we're going to take a bit more time off them.
Well, so we're down at Crowe Performance now, and I thought perfect time to obviously announce the ride and get Phil, who, for those that don't know Phil, he's a larger than life character. When I first met Phil, he was 26 stone, I think, and he was racing a Gixxer 1000, and honestly, it looked like
he defies we've mentioned it on the pod hundreds of times. This man defies the laws of physics.
It looked like a mini motor.
He shouldn't be that fast.
And from that, he's lost a load of weight. He's started road racing. He's almost at the 130, similar to, I think he's 129.9 or 129.8.
He's slightly faster than me. Damn it.
But for a lad of his size, he's an unbelievable rider, and obviously he's running this business down here, Crowe Performance, which they sort of specialise in BMWs.
Hold on, whoa, Jackie.
I'm just doing an introduction. I'll get them on. They specialise in BMWs, but they also do other manufacturers as well. But they're like the go-to people really for work on the Gen 4, Gen 3, do all sorts of mapping. There's a dyno. I mean, you've just seen the brilliant facilities, workshop, state-of-the-art. They literally do everything. And I've used them in the past. I can't rate them highly enough, and I'm really happy that they've stepped in to help us. Without further ado, we'll grab Phil in for a quick chat, and and I'm really looking forward to the year. So thanks again for everyone that's helped out, and without further ado, over to Big Phil. So joined by the man himself, Phil Crowe. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good.
The new boss, Chrissy. The new boss.
Pull the microphone towards you. Yeah, that
can hear too much as it is.
Yeah, we can hear you there. Well, I was just saying to Dom in the intro that I remember when I first met you, you were nearly twice the size of what you are now, and I think you were riding a Gixxer at the time, and at Cadwell Park you were like back in it made the bike look like it was like a mini moto because you were that big, and I mean that must have been is about 10 years ago.
2008, 2000. So yeah, first time on a Suzuki was a K3, 2008. Then I switched to a K8 in 2009. Ran that through to 2010 before the BMW. But yeah, it would have been 26 stone.
So 26 stone.
Was it the case of, were you just like riding on the road and stuff, and then you thought, I'll have a bash on the Cadwell, or like how did it come about?
I don't know. I should tell you the proper story actually, but
oh no, there's no. You can say anything on this show if you want to go for it.
Yeah, so it all started. So I'd always been into motocross for years and years, but I had a couple of years sabbatical from motocross, no money, how it was, and I was into my cars a bit. And I got banned from driving. That's how it started. And so I thought, right, I've still got to get about, need to get to work and what else. So what do I do? I buy a bike.
While you're banned?
Well, I'm banned. So I went down to a shop in Lincoln, purchased a bike in a dodgy name.
On finance or outright?
No, paid cash. I sold my car, so I had the money to buy the bike. Went in and bought a ZX9 C1, I think it was, one of them horrible things. And I was getting to work on it and tearing about at the weekends and everything, and started getting in a bit of bother with the police.
So at this point, you've been banned, but did you even have a bike licence prior to that?
Yeah, I had a bike licence.
All right, I thought this is even getting better. I don't have a bike licence, don't have a licence, and then I'm just going for it.
So I bought this bike in a dodgy name and had it hidden in the garage and just used it for essential needs.
That's brilliant. So yeah, let's get a time frame on it. So what age were you at this point? So you've gone from what age were you when you got on a crosser? Like first got on a bike, what age were you?
Young, like like
Schoolboy
7-8 years old. Yeah.
Bloody hell! So and then you carried on going till what age was your sabbatical?
Yeah, so I motocrossed all the way through till, I don't know, late teens, and then had a few years sabbatical till like 21, 22, and then got back into the motocross, then got banned from driving, and then, yeah, so
See, bloody hell, so you hit the tarmac late then?
yeah,
Really late?
27-year-old, I think, when I hit the time, yeah.
Yeah, and then from that point, because you were fast then as well, even for your size. But with being that size, it's impossible to compete at the front with just the speed on the speed disadvantage on the straight. And obviously over the the last few years, you've fairly shedded the weight down as you've been becoming more and more competitive. And what was it, about 26 stone that you started?
Yeah, so in 2007-8, I'd have been 26 stone. That was the very start, just doing a few track days here and there, and then my mate says, why do you get and I'd been in bother with the coppers actually, so I was like, right, I need to get off the road, but I need some kind of fix. So I was like, what am I going to do? So my mate said, I'm off to do my ACU. Just one day randomly, like middle of the week, he goes, I'm off to do my ACU licence tomorrow. I said, all right, how do you do that then? He goes, you go down to Rugby to do this thing. I said, bugger it, I'll come with you. And that was it. And so
straight away went from there.
Next day I had a race licence, wondering what to do with it, and I was like, right, okay, we need to make this into a race bike, not knowing that a C9, a ZX9 C1 is absolutely no good for racing. So we've got some track fairings, put them on, ended up on a race meeting a couple of weeks later, and realised how bad the bike was, because you're cranking it over, grinding the engine casings on the floor, wore through the left and right engine casings, and there was oil pissing out the side of it, because I just ground them away.
What club was this with then?
That would have been Derby Phoenix.
Derby Phoenix straight.
Imagine trying to set a bike up for 26 stone though, like in terms of springs and
stock road bike, an engine as wide as a lorry engine, and bloody, and I was just going around. It was just absolutely on the limit, grinding the engine casings out, and I wore through them. There's oil coming out the side. So a bloke who owned a breaker at up at Emswell said, I've got a spare casing back at the work. So he rushed back to his workshop, brought me another casing back up, and wore through that. So I was only first day of the meeting, and I'd worn through both 2 lots of engine casings.
Lads are going through knee sliders and boots. He's going through literal engines there.
So it was like, I ended up chemical metaling razor Stanley knife blades on the casing just to help it slide along to get us through the weekend. And as soon as that weekend was over, like, right, we need to get rid of this.
And then it went from, obviously I remember you going through Thundersport, very competitive in the GP1 class, winning races and being like a constant front runner.
Is this in the first year?
No,
because I'm just thinking, because we talk a lot about motocross and how it helps out. So was your transfer to tarmac, was it like, this is a piece of piss?
It wasn't a piece of piss, it took a bit of getting into, but my biggest thing was getting on that ZX9 and not knowing if it was right or wrong. You soon realise when you go racing. So as soon as I got on a reasonable bike, I got rid of the ZX9 and got an Aprilia Milli, and that was a step in front of the ZX9.
Yeah. Because they're a big lump of a bike as well, aren't they?
So within a couple of minutes, I did like I think this would be about, I don't know, September time when I got rid of the ZX9, got the Aprilia and finished the season off it.
Yeah.
Realised that was no good, so the next season we come back with a K4 GSXR, quite a trick one, like decent engine and all that, and that's when I really made the transition. I was, just getting a decent bike under me, and within 2 meetings I was doing like 33s at Cadwell.
I was about to say, lap times, because we'll talk that in detail later on, but your lap times are bloody astonishing. Considering you, as Chrissy's mentioned, you were a big lad. To be able to bang out them times is absolutely serious.
What sort of weight are you now?
So I stood here now, I'm like hovering like 18, so depend on the day, 18 stone, 17,
so it's
10.
It's still big for bike racing, but compared to what you were, it's massive. And what I was going to say is, obviously, you've doing all the club racing and stuff, and then you developed a love for road racing and started going over to the TT, Macau. What was your newcomer year for the TT? 121 point something mile an hour my first year. Was that a few years ago?
Yeah, that was 2014 that year.
Holy crap. When was your newcomer?
That was my first time I went at the TT. No, I did the Manx at 13 on stock SV, My first TD was 2014, straight there.
So did you do your newcomer things together?
No, because you would have gone straight to the TT. So what was that newcomers like then? Because you would have done the Milky Quail thing and everything like that.
Yeah, did a lot of TT. Look after you, to be honest. When you go straight to the TT, it took us over for 2 trips over. But I had it hard that year because the newcomers were Hickman, Jessup.
Hold on, Jessup was in 2014 when he joined.
Yeah. So I was up against all them lots. So.
Really, I thought Jessup. Sorry,
a nice steady earth then.
So I had no chance. I was thinking, I might be in for the chance of the fastest newcomer. But if they weren't there, I would have got it like quite easily. But they just overshadowed us massively.
Bloody hell! So you went from Thundersport. You've dabbled in like BSB and everything, haven't you?
Yeah. So yes. So the transition to road racing really was. Like club racing, and then Paul Shoesmith, I was mates with him, and he goes, "Oh, why don't you come and have a go at road racing?" And I wasn't keen at the time. I was like, you know what, it's not my thing. A bit dodgy, thought it was dangerous and whatnot. He goes, "Well, come and have a go at
This has come from a man who's got a band licence. He went out, engine cases on the floor, welding standing lives to it. And he thought, yeah, that looks a bit sketchy. That's some saying that minefield.
Yeah.
There you go.
But you look from the outside looking in, you think he's mental, don't you? It's like, what the fucking all these lads doing? And so Chewy goes, come and have a go at the Northwest. It's reasonably safe, quite straight. And this, he goes, you know what?
What are you doing?
Trying to get that fly.
This was 2012. So I did 2 years in the Northwest. And then, I was kind of into it. I think I might have done a Scarborough as well at some point. I can't remember. Didn't really like that. And then in 14, it was like, fuck it, let's go to the TT. I went to help John Ingram in 2012. Still wasn't convinced by it. 13, I think I went back again and thought, I had a ride around on a road bike then, and I thought, you know what, I might have a go at this. And then in 14, that was it, was there.
You've really stepped it up over the last few years as well with you're about 129 miles.
Yeah, well, I like to say 130 because it's
close.
It's a sniff.
129.995, half a second off 130.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
So, okay, like what actually happened last year? You had a bit of a you see, from me looking at your TT, you have like. You have a shit luck year, you know what I mean, when nothing really goes right for you. Then the following year you compensate for that and you take a huge jump forward, and then you go back to a shit luck year.
Yeah.
So in theory you should win it next year. That's my theory.
132 was the aim this year, because on ideas we've done 131.5, I think. So it's
that is some elevation, that mine. Now, is this on the new... You were the only person at the TT this year, one of the only people on the new Gen 4.
No, one on a new bike, still on the old bike. But
right.
We'd set the target out after doing 129.95, looked at splits and ideals. It was like, right, 121 and a half's there. So there's a bit of progression. If we can link a lap together and put a bit more effort in, we should be able to crack 132.
Yeah, Phil, to do that, and when you think of, like, say the Northwest's a good gauge because you're flat out on the straight for so long, and obviously you can get up to well over 200 miles an hour. At top speed, flat in sixth, what are you giving away to, the likes of Connor Cummins?
With no slipstream, the fastest I've ever gone is 191 mile an hour. In the slipstream, I've done 196. No, tell a lie. The fastest I've ever gone without slipstream is 189 mile an hour.
Is this on a bike?
Yeah, on a bike, yeah. I've gone faster in my car.
We'll get into that.
So I'm easily 15 mile an hour down on the top lads with no toe. And
so when you think of the lap, overall the lap, the lap time, you're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
So,
Northwest 200, I'm absolutely screwed. TT, not so bad because you've got loads of corners to make it up.
Yeah, fair enough. Good.
See, I'm surprised you went the Northwest is a great event, as we all know. It is a fantastic event, but I think that physical weight disadvantage at that point. So when you first went, what weight? I know we keep jumping on the weight thing, but I've said this on the pod hundreds of times. You are the only rider that can defy physics, man. You know what I mean? The fact that you are, because you shouldn't be able to do the speed you can do with being the size you were. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, so, like when I first started road racing, I'd have been 24 stone, I'd have thought. So that was to the Northwest, maybe a bit over.
But how were you doing in the race? Sorry, Chrissy, I'm just jumping on the gun here, but how in the races, like where were you? So, finishing?
Took me a couple of years to get into it, but then I think the best result at the Northwest is either a 9th or 11th, something like that.
In terms of setup, difference from like say me or Dom, I presume you have to go real high springs, really high tyre pressures to
Yeah.
that. I mean, what sort of roughly what sort of springs and tyre pressures are you
Yeah, so I'm
to get up to?
Yeah, so I don't know how to put it into perspective so
He's
people
putting
can
scaffy
understand it.
bars down the foot.
Yeah. But we're like a third heavier
Than
spring wise
everything.
than anybody else would be generally. I like the average man. So yeah, big wheelbases are longer, seats are higher, handlebars are wider. It's like if any normal lad got on one of my bikes, they wouldn't even be able to ride it.
And speaking of your bikes, obviously you've built this reputation as being the man to go to for BMW work, really. And obviously over the last year, you've went from a kind of one-man band just down the road from here, actually, and then you've sort of moved into this really professional setup with it's got everything really, dyno room, full race workshop, road bike workshop, officers, all the parts and everything. It's extremely you've made a massive jump with it's a very professional outfit. And are you enjoying that? And with the Gen 4 just coming out last year, I presume you'll have been really busy, doing road to race conversions and everything.
Yeah. So I've been flat out with it, but yeah, it's took a big business. It took a big turn over the last 2 years. A new partnership come together with one of my customers, Gabriel Peterson, going from a one or two man band in the workshop dealing with a small group of customers to now dealing with hundreds of customers and hundreds of bikes. So in one way I regret it because
the phone will be ping, 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 ping.
Phone's
ping.
pinging all the time. I'm stressed all the time with it.
And a great time to come on a podcast and advertise your business. You know what I mean? Yeah, just keep ringing them, kids. Keep ringing them all the time. So what did you always train as a bike mechanic, or what was your first job, or was this just like you got on a bike, you went to a track day, knocked some engine cases, went, I fancy a stab at this. It's a bit of me, that.
Always been into spanner, and I was a digger driver by trade for years.
Right.
So that kind of has its own mechanical element. So yeah, and having bikes all my life, you have an understanding of stuff, and then you just gain knowledge, same as anything. It's like you gain knowledge from everybody you meet and everybody you deal with. I did a lot of work with Ray Stringer back in the day. He was helping me build bikes, and he taught me a lot. And everybody who helped me in my racing, fortunately I was surrounded by a lot of people with knowledge who passed a lot on. So over the years you just gain knowledge and you get to a level where you can sell your knowledge to other people.
So just for people that are listening, just outline exactly what you provide here with. So the business is Crowe Performance, and obviously you've got a website. Is it croweperformance.com?
That's it. Yeah.
And what services do you provide?
Digging holes.
Yeah, full everything. Well, we specialise in BMWs, but we do other bikes. People think we don't do other bikes, but we do. But we're that busy with BMWs, we don't really need to take work in from anything else. And we've got a good association with BMW. They give us a lot of support and whatnot. So so engine tuning, dyno work, bike builds, track bike builds, general maintenance servicing.
Do quite a lot of road stuff as well. I've seen while I've been here loads of road bikes in and out. And is that like sort of mapping and stuff like that?
Yeah, do a lot of ECU mapping. We're probably one of the only people in the UK that can actually properly map the BMW ECUs. The BMW have got locked down that well that not many people can get into them, but we've got the capabilities to get into every parameter ECU, so we can map them properly. So that's a good side of the business for us.
With the new obviously years you've been working on the Generation 3 BMW, and the Generation 4 came out last year, totally different bit of kit, and obviously a lot of teething problems, not just here, but with Hickman at the TT running like stock engine, and the Batham's team running them last year. Has it been a massive change for you working on the Gen 4, and what have you been working on?
Yeah, it's been a breath of fresh air, to be honest, because we've been through all the generations, and you put that much time into them, and you feel like you've expended all your resources, and nothing's getting much better, and you just get bored of it. So we'd had with the Gen 3, we'd had nearly 4 years of that, because that kind of went on 15, 16, 17, 18. So it's like, you get fed up with it. It's just the same thing. So the Gen 4 coming out was a breath of fresh air. It gave us new enthusiasm to get stuck in again. So we're learning again with these now, gaining knowledge and trying to pass that knowledge on. So
is it at all similar to the Gen 3? Is it the playbook of bikes?
Hey up, come in, you little rat.
Get yourself in another guest rider. Get yourself. Jesus, the pair of them here. Bloody hell.
We've got the Neve lads on next, so we'll
we've got them all coming in.
You can sit in and listen, lads, if you want, and we'll be wrapping up shortly.
Like a horse.
So obviously, looking forward to this year. You've got you're going to be doing a bit of racing yourself at various meetings, and we've got Macau as well for both of you coming up at the end. What else are you doing this year?
So I'm at BSB with two riders.
I've already I've announced it earlier.
Yeah, the shirt does give it away a slight touch there.
So I thought, you know what, we're doing that, so I'll have a go myself. So I'm going to do a few of those rounds myself.
Okay.
But my problem there has been on Pirellis, and I need to be on Dunlops for Macau, so I'll probably do the first couple or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
And then drop out and get myself back in the groove on the Dunlops for Macau.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the season. So we've got some club racing. We've got Thundersport next weekend coming.
That's Donington Park, is it?
Donington Park.
Because you break lap records, and one of your good friends there, John Ingram. You are good friends, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that. Sorry, because you two because when you open the book at Thundersport, you two are absolutely hammer and tongue and proper chasing each other around the place.
It's good competition, but in all honesty, either Thundersport dropped off or we upped the game a little bit. But we used to remember a couple of years ago, we used to go there and there used to be 5 or 6 maybe riders that could win. In the last 2 years, there's probably only been 2 or 3, maybe 4 riders that could win. Right. It used to be a real good pack. So either we're a bit too quick for the class now, or we should let the other lads have a go at it and step back. But they need somebody to chase there, or it's dropped off a little bit. Like the depth of the field of riders. There's a lot of people moved on to BSB, but Thundersport for us is always the best testing ground. You go there, loads of track time, always run perfectly.
And you can do your own thing, can't you? Run your own fuel, run your own tyres. You can
and generally you can go and have a race with numerous people. Like you get a lot of BSB lads turn up there. The depth of field might have dropped off a little bit for the regular Thundersport ones, but you always get a handful of like the fast lads from BSB testing. So you're guaranteed to get a race. You're not like.
You're not turning up and pissing it.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed to go there and win trophy hunting. You're always going to get a race. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we do, we've got the TT leaderboard game. So before we do that, I just want to ask you one last thing.
I've got one more as well before you.
For people with Gen 3s, obviously they might have seen the Gen 4s out on track and stuff, but not really maybe not rode them themselves or don't know too much about them. Why should somebody price in the trade in the Gen 3 to get the Gen 4? What's the upgrades? What are the better things on the bike?
The whole bike is just massively improved. There's not one element of the bike that really resembles the old bike. It's a total revision. It's the biggest revision BMW ever done, and they've improved in every area basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you're not going to buy one, don't test ride one, because you will be buying one if you test ride one.
You've done quite a lot of work with Germany, with data and stuff, and sort of getting the bike set up to where it is now, haven't you?
Yeah, so relationship started with Germany. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. They'd been watching what I do and was interested. Knew we were big into the BMWs. It started with an invite to Germany to go for some training, and then I went back for another lot of training. And then they've been over to us to train us and help us, and we've just got a good relationship with them. And so every time we sit down with them lads, you learn a lot. And
I was just talking to Dom about the bike I've ridden so far hasn't had the calibration kit on yet, so I'm really looking forward to trying the split throttles and the various other bits and pieces that come with the calibration kit. Just to explain very briefly to the people listening, what's the calibration kit all about, and how does the split throttles work?
Calibration kit basically gives us full control of the ECU, like almost every parameter: throttle response, fuel, ignition, traction control, engine braking, and then the latest thing, which was actually banned in World Superbike a few years ago, I think, is the split throttle bodies. So BMW went about putting split throttle bodies on their bike
like a standard.
As a standard. So now that's back in World Superbikes. Basically it's a system that you can basically almost shut 2 cylinders down or close 2 throttle valves and have like a V-twin engine coming off the corners, and then have full power engine where you need it. So it just makes the power delivery much more manageable, like coming off real tight hairpins or where you don't want such an aggressive bike. It just flattens the power curve off and just lets you
Holy
get stuck in.
Mega.
See, like, to be fast, you need to be almost like, you need that knowledge behind it. Now, would you say that, like, how user friendly would you say that bike is? Now, to me, my brain's melted. I know I'm a woodcutter by trade and I'm not a mechanic, but that is just totally melted my head. So, if I bought a bike from you, how easy would that be for me to turn that into a usable package for like Thundersport?
I mean, you could run it without the kit electronics, but once you put the kit electronics on it, it gets technical. So you need some training. We're still learning, but we're ahead of the game with it for sure. We spent a lot of time with the German lads out in Macau. They've been out to Jerez with us to train us and help us get set up. So we're picking knowledge up. Then we're using it ourselves. So we're practical. What do you say? We're testing it ourselves. Yeah.
So when's the first time you had the Gen 4 out on track? So you were saying you were out TT gone on the Gen 3. Now, did you have the Gen 4 at Macau this year?
Yeah, Macau. So I got it in September, and we started track day and racing September, October time. It might have even been. It might even have been August. So we were the first, other than the big teams, to get the Gen 4 in this country into race spec. So it was Hickman's lot and
Tyco,
Hickman's and Batham's. They all had theirs, and then we were the first team.
Privateer team, really.
Yeah, so we got a bit of a leg up off BMW and helped to source them, and
But before you got beaten half to death with the unlucky shit stick again at Macau, how did the bike feel for you? Because that would have been your first proper race event? It would have been, internationally wise.
No, I did Thundersport at Cadwell, I think.
You did Thundersport on it?
First outing on it, the electronics are all over the place. There's a lot of gremlins, and nothing was right by a long way. But I knew when I raced at Cadwell Park, I matched my personal best lap time within 10 laps.
Holy crap.
With fucked electronics and a chassis that wasn't set up.
Holy crap. Here's another quick question. So you've gone from 26 Clem to comfortable 18. How much has that knocked off your lap time?
Not as much as you'd think. So
right.
I reckon it's probably given me a 2 3/4 at your average UK track. So when I was 26 stone, I knocked 3 stone off almost instantly, and that probably gave me about a second. And then I went from, say, 23 stone down to 18 stone, and that gave me probably about another second, maybe 1.5 seconds. Yeah, so it wasn't as big as I thought it would be, but it's definitely
definitely
helped.
That, or?
Definitely helped anyway.
100% helped. Yeah.
Right, so you ready for your TT the leaderboard challenge?
Yeah, I'm going to win this now. Now I've had 2 attempts.
2 attempts. I had a slight technical there with some battery failure, did you? So, but mind you, looking at the that first initial encounter of having a go at it, it was crap, Phil. I'm not going to lie, son. It was absolutely disgusting, to be fair.
Need to get the real bikes out, don't we?
That's it.
What's your favourite section of the TT course?
Oh, you know what? Not the first section, because it's that fast. I'm about 10 seconds off the pace there.
Press start.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're still, you've got, like, on the paper, your potential of a 32 and you're 10 seconds behind. That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
here comes a valve. Boof.
Oh, up.
There you are, have some of that.
Clutch snatched.
What would your dream bike be to go around the TT on? Because you've rode for classic Suzuki. Okay, that full-on Guy Martin moment here. This is good. So we're 12 into it. Here we go. So what would your dream bike be for around there?
I don't know, really. Just a real nice built superbike, like probably a full-on spec superbike BMW, I guess.
Have you got one of those? Because you've got 2 different bikes, haven't you? You've got the stock 1000 and you've got the superbike.
No, I haven't got a superbike yet. Not in. I'm still waiting for a superbike engine, but we're never going to have a full-blown superbike because we just haven't got the bloody budget. But we'll just have like a hybrid superstock bike with a fast engine in it. That's kind of what
the aim is. Oh, Jackie!
I nearly saved that.
No, you didn't. You've just wiped out Lee Johnson. There you go.
Does BMW still do the Alpha Racing engines, the sort of blueprinted superstock engines?
Yeah, so Alpha Racing and BMW are actually 2 separate entities. Yeah. BMW do their own in-house engines, and then Alpha Racing do their version as well. Even though they work together, there is there is.
And am I right in saying, have you formed a partnership with Alpha Racing now?
Yeah, we're like.
We're supposed to be asking them inappropriate questions. These are all deadly serious. Here we are.
So you. I hate this game.
It does nothing for my confidence. What playing this, man? It's absolutely mental. But
it won't do very good if it went to the TT and rid like this, would it?
Well, that's the thing. That David Todd's like the top 10 in the world playing this. I tell you what, if you play, but he's like averaging 130. What's the average speed is nothing like an actual representation of it though. It's like 140 odds and stuff like that. Yeah. It's something ridiculously fast. There you go.
I like it in the gutter.
Go on then. Who's your favourite rider you race against?
Favourite rider?
Yeah, who do you most get along with? Because there's a cracking photo of you and Lee Johnson. You hold them like a parrot. So go on. Who's your?
You know what? I don't really know.
Who's the most?
I have a laugh with some of the Irish lads like bloody. So there's Dave O'Johnson. Me and him spend a lot of time together.
He's a legend.
We've got a little bit of a gang that we go out on the piss when we get chances. Me, Dave O'Johnson, and Derek Shields and that. They're all good lads. All wild, absolutely wild. But
Derek Shields. I tell you what, there's a fair few stories that we can't say on the pod. That my boys get a right good spanking over.
Then we drag Sweeney in every now and again, but he's a bit straight sometimes. He thinks he needs to behave and that, but if you get a few beers down,
it all comes to the front, doesn't it? It all comes to. Who's the wildest lad on the drink?
Got to be Derek Shields, isn't it? Like, remember last year when he got kicked out of the club in Macau, and so he went up the street and nicked a ladder, climbed up through the back window of the nightclub and come down the back staircase and got back in the nightclub.
I've just thought that camera needs to turn around.
It needs to turn around, all right.
Well, I think that about does us, and I know we've brought you out of the workshop at a very busy time at the moment, and thanks again for what you're doing for me this year. Really appreciate the help, and I'm looking forward to we've got 6 rounds, it's like half a season really in it. Yeah. But really looking forward to getting out on the Gen 4, and the bike looks great, and looking forward to getting out, trying the calibration kit.
Yeah, let's get stuck in. It might be ready for the first round if we don't get out of here.
Get stuck in. So thanks for joining us on the podcast, Phil, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Right.
Cheers mate.
Cheers.